Hello everybody, I'm Charles Coves, Australasia's passion provocateur. Welcome to this week's episode of the Charles Coves Show. This show is guided by the formula SA plus P equals S. Self-awareness, your self-awareness plus passion, your passion, equals success. Since 1993, when I left my successful legal career, to become Australasia's passion provocateur, I have spent my life inspiring people, provoking people to discover and pursue their passion. And that requires a ever deeper understanding of self-awareness. This show is also guided by Socrates' famous quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living." You can see I'm wearing my red passion jacket. Red is the colour of passion, so when you think red, think of me. In each episode, I explore one big idea that can change your life. As I say, just imagine if you watch this show for 52 weeks, you'll have 52 big ideas that can change your life for the better. Of course, you can change your life for the worse. I don't want you to do that. In each episode, I share a number of simple ideas in addition to the one big idea. Sometimes a joke, a song. If you listen to it deeply, you'll have a whole new appreciation of the song. A book that you might just have been waiting on. A quote, a health tip, a spirituality tip. And indeed, this show has spiritual elements in it. I believe we have a spiritual life in it. So if you're scared of spirituality, this show is not for you. This show aims to be not politically correct. I reject the concept of political correctness. So if you only watch shows that are politically correct, again, this show is not for you. So, what's happened this week? Since our last episode? Well, the lockdowns are easing. The coronavirus lockdowns are easing. I say, from all of the reading that I do, and I spend a lot of time reading about experts talking about coronavirus, I think we have been sold a pup. I think we have been sold a hoax. And my view is that politicians, having made these big decisions to lock down, quite extraordinary impact that these decisions have, they're now scared to go back and say, maybe we weren't right. I also am surprised by the number of people who are genuinely fearful. And it really occurs to me that people are not spending their time learning about what's happening, but basically listening to government. As I've said in other episodes, it's probably a big risk of being uninformed if on big issues you rely on government and the mainstream press for your ideas. The other big issue that's happened this week has been the violent protests that are described in much of the mainstream media as non-violent, as peaceful protests regarding Black Lives Matter issues, alleged Black Lives Matter. And my view is that the first 15 minutes of this whole explosion of protests around the world, allegedly to support George Floyd, a many times convicted criminal, a guy who was on fentanyl when he died, to call this a huge movement based on that was the first 15 minutes. The rest of it has been a game being driven by people who want to destroy the system. Now, there are elements of the system that can be improved. Totally agree. To destroy the system is a great idea if you've got a better system in mind. It seems to me that it's a leftist movement, a socialist, Marxist movement that is designed to take away your freedom, your ability to live life on your terms. Your job is to think about this. I haven't got time in this episode to go deeply into this, but trust me, I am thinking deeply about these issues. In the last week, the exercise has continued every day. The cold showers have continued every day. And the other thing that continues is eating patterns. So whilst Julie and I have not been going out to restaurants, we have been eating breakfast, lunch and dinner. And eating is such a wonderful thing to do. And I could so easily be significantly overweight if I ate precisely what I felt like eating. I would, if I didn't practice discipline around my eating, around my drinking, I could easily blow up hugely. I love food. I love alcohol. I love coffee. And if I want to achieve the vision that I have for my life, I must exercise discipline. So it's a constant battle. Some people can eat whatever they like and they won't put on weight. I've been exercising, training almost every day for almost all of my life. And for 35 years I've been training for triathlons and competing in triathlons. It is a constant act of discipline. And one of the core ideas that drives my life is that discipline leads to freedom. I'm sure I've talked about that in other episodes. We might unpack that a little bit more. But I've had to be disciplined during the week, in terms of the decisions that I'm making on a moment by moment basis. Oh, look, I think I'll just get up and eat something. No, I can't. I don't have that freedom to eat whatever I like or drink whatever I like whenever I feel like it. The other exciting things that happened this week has been the commencement of Australian rules football, and the US PGA golf tournaments have started again. So that is some return to normality that I'm thoroughly enjoying. So I hope your week went well. Now for today's a big idea that can change your life. But before I do, I invite you to subscribe to Passion Points to Ponder. Have a look at our website, coves.com. That's for corporate programs, for individual programs. That's where you can buy my book, my first book, Passionate People Produce, my second book, Passionate Performance. My other website is Charles Coves & Co. That's focused on the self-awareness and passion quest. That is a group coaching opportunity that will certainly change your life. So please take a look at that website as well. So, today's big idea. I want to talk to you about philosophy. And there's a lot of material that's published on philosophy, that is written over the last couple of centuries, more than 3 centuries, on philosophy. I want to give you a usable idea about philosophy, a framework of philosophy, because it is important. And it's this: philosophy is the love of wisdom. My wish for you is that you are wise. The word philosophy, its etymology, comes from 2 Greek words, philos and sophia. Philos meaning like, love, sophia meaning wisdom. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. So do you want to be wise? What does that mean to be wise? I suggest to you, it means that you can make good decisions rather than bad decisions. You can make the right decision for you rather than the wrong decision. Good versus bad, right versus wrong. But what is good? Is it good for you to change your career like I did back in 1993? There I was, successful lawyer, earning plenty of money, 4 children. I've now got 5 children, but 4 children at that time back in 93, all at private schools, big expenses, good income. I went cold turkey and changed career. Was that a good idea? Was that the right idea? What is the basis on which we make our decisions? What is the basis on which you choose the good decision, the right decision, or the bad decision, the wrong decision? Here's my proposition to you. You need to understand what your life is about, because that's the test for good versus bad, right versus wrong for you. Now there's one more layer above this, and philosophy explores this. Philosophy also explores what is true, what is real, and what is morally correct, called ethics. That takes you to a whole new level, because on the issue of protests on Black Lives Matter, on the issue of what is the truth around lives that people are leading these days, of lives that people led 200 years ago. And if you have no conception of this, it's very easy for the mainstream media to fool you about what is true, what is real. We talk about science in coronavirus, and yet we have a J.K. Rowling being criticised because she says men and women are a scientific fact. I do too. There are some people who don't want to choose scientifically what they are, men or women. But to throw science out the door is a nonsense. It's not truth. And so you've heard me in earlier episodes talk about everyone being a weirdo. You can dress up and believe whatever you are, but science is science. But if you suddenly start saying, oh no, science is not science, and male is not male, and female is not female, then what is true? Don't talk to me about coronavirus when you haven't even agreed whether there's men and women, if that's what your thinking is. But I put to you this is a tiny percentage of the population, and I put to you that the woke movement is out to change our system of life on this planet. And I put to you that there are wonderful benefits that have happened in our lifestyle. Wonderful benefits. Not everything's perfect, but there are wonderful benefits. And I'll give you one fact based on UN data. Back in 1966, over 50% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty. Today, that number is 9%. It's reduced from 50% to 9%. That's truth. That's real. So coming back to your choices, how do you decide what's good for you, what's right for you? And if you make good decisions and right decisions, you are wise. And the answer to this is your self-knowledge. Your self-knowledge is the key to wisdom. Your self-awareness is the key to wisdom. You will make wise decisions. It's a great way to live life, and I want you to start thinking about the basis on which you make your decisions. The values that you take into account when you make your decision. And so you come into this question and say, well, what is my life about? That's part of this discussion of the purpose of your life, and nobody can tell you what that is. And then you start to, by listening to this episode, be provoked into thinking new thoughts by doing additional reading. Hopefully, the areas in which I have provoked you. And as your thinking changes, evolves, you start to make better decisions. You start to feel differently about yourself, because if you make the mistake of consciously, not aloud, consciously saying to yourself, I'm an idiot, I just know nothing, and constantly beating yourself up, it's not surprising that you would feel bad. And so you come back to this question that says, what is my life about? And when you make that decision today, then you can make a decision consistent with what you consider your life to be. This is a gift that we have. I propose to be around for at least 120 years. This 120 years goes so quickly. Don't waste this gift by imposing on yourself a bunch of rules and principles that are not consistent with who you are and who you want to be and the type of life that you wish to lead. and you come back to philosophy, that as you make these choices, there are certain things that are true, there are certain things that are real, and there are certain principles of human behavior that over thousands of years have proven to be good bases on which to look at life. You don't have to create it from scratch, but nor do you have to embrace every idea that anybody throws at you. So, I hope I've given you a new insight on choosing to love wisdom, and as your love of wisdom grows, you can call yourself a philosopher. And I certainly consider myself to be a philosopher and a business philosopher. And one of the elements of my business philosophy is that I am of the view that you do not sacrifice humanity and your humanity for the impact you want to make in business. Now, let's get a little bit less serious. It's time for a joke. And it's particularly relevant with the Black Lives Matter hullabaloo going on. And I love this joke. And it ties into this question of whether, as humans, we have advanced. Now, I suggested to you earlier that extreme poverty is being reduced on the planet, but there are certain advances that maybe are not advances. And it's this lovely story of whether times are better now than 500 years ago. And think of the old Indian chief in America. And this is also relevant for my work in industrial hemp, because I've been approached by a number of Indian tribes who are sovereign nations in America, who have certain freedoms to establish hemp crops, hemp enterprises on their tribal land. So I'm having these conversations with Indian tribes, and it's very interesting. So think of the Indian chief sitting in his home on the reservation, smoking his ceremonial pipe, eyeing the two US government officials who were sent to interview him. Chief Two Eagles, one official began, you have observed the white man for many years. You've seen all his progress and all his problems. The chief nodded. The official continued. What do you think of all the white man has done? The chief stared at the officials for more than a minute, and then calmly replied, when white man found the land, Indians were running it. No taxes, no debt. Plenty buffalo, plenty beaver. Women did most of the work. Medicine man free. Indian men hunted and fished all the time. The chief paused, then added, only white man dumb enough to think you could improve a system like that. Are we living a better life than Indians in America 500 years ago? Worthy of your contemplation, because it comes to this question. Would you rather be hunting and fishing all day? My song for the day. Cyndi Lauper. Can you guess what song I'm going to mention? It's True Colours. There's a beautiful verse here. But I see your true colours shining through. I see your true colours, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. Your true colours. True colours are beautiful, like a rainbow. Listen to that song deeply. Let it touch your soul, and think about, are you willing to let your true colours show? My quote of the day comes from Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations. Very relevant to the love of wisdom. A person who doesn't know what the universe is doesn't know where they are. A person who doesn't know their purpose in life doesn't know who they are or what the universe is. A person who doesn't know any one of these things doesn't know why they are here. So what to make of people who seek or avoid the praise of those who have no knowledge of where or who they are? Well worth pondering. I urge you to ponder it. That quote from Aurelius, and Julie loves quoting Aurelius, as do I, comes from the Daily Stoic, which is this episode's book by Ryan Holiday. 366 meditations on wisdom. Since we're talking about wisdom and the love of wisdom, this book might be the one for you. The benefit is each day there's a different topic, different quote, different meditation. My spiritual tip this week. One of the 10 F's of spirituality. I'll remind you, what are these 10 F's? What are the aspects of spirituality? I find this a useful touchstone to come back. Am I giving space to my spirituality? The 10 F's are family, friends, faith, freedom, fearlessness, forgiveness, philosophy with an F. We're talking about philosophy today. Fortitude, fornication, making love. And one of those 10 F's is forgiveness. And today's spiritual tip is to choose to forgive someone. Forgive someone who has done something that you consider to be wrong, that has hurt you. You choose to forgive them. By forgiving, you are giving yourself a gift. You understand that they're a weirdo, and you know what I mean by that from our earlier episodes. Forgive. Give yourself this gift. Take away this inner angst. You will find yourself unburdened. You will find yourself lighter. And as the classics say, why can angels fly? Because they take themselves lightly. Become more enlightened. My health tip of the day. I've been talking about 366 meditations with the Daily Stoic. My health tip for the day. Understand consciously your sleep patterns. Your whole health is so tied into sleep. Today's idea on health is to become consciously aware of your sleep patterns so that you can ensure that you get the best possible sleep. And one of the elements of sleep that I recommend in my seminars is to have a nap during the day if you need it. I have been having a daily nap since the early 1970s when I started university. 15, 20, 25 minutes, no longer. Have a nap. It's like a hard disk defrag of your mind. So a nap is part of your sleep pattern. Buckminster Fuller, he slept when he felt like it. What is the ideal sleep pattern for you? Raise your self-awareness around your sleep patterns. Raise your self-awareness around your willingness to forgive. Raise your self-awareness around your understanding of who you truly are. So, I hope I've provoked and inspired you to think in new ways, to explore more about you, so that you can have the success, you can live the magnificent life that you are meant to live. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, visit our website, covest.com, subscribe to Passion Points to Ponder, charlescovest.com for the self-awareness and passion quest. Thanks for being with us on this episode. May you have a week full of passion, full of insight, full of challenge, because without challenge you can't learn and grow. Plenty of fun, one of the spiritual elements of life. Find plenty of jokes, have lots of laughter, and I look forward to being with you next week when you come and share the Charles Covest Show with me. Thank you.